This movie is about a boy named Alex. When he was young, he lived with his mom who just got her master's degree. His parents got divorced when he was 2. His mom, Ileana, inspired him to work hard in school so he could have more opportunities. She was obsessed with making sure Alex's education was better than hers, and even wanted him to aim for Harvard. Alex promised to work hard in school. One day at school, the principal, Mrs. Thomas, pulled Alex aside and introduced him to Ellen, his mom's friend. She told Alex that his mom had gotten hurt and was in the hospital in bad shape. Alex went to see his mom, who was still out cold. Since he lived alone with his mom, Ellen took him to stay at her place so he wouldn't be by himself. To make a long story short, Ileana got out of the hospital, but after the accident, she got a bad head injury and ended up with bipolar. At first, everything was okay, but then the meds started messing with her head. She stopped taking them, and that made her act all cold and mean. One day, Alex left his report card for Ileana to sign later because he didn't want to bother his mom. One day in school, Mrs. Thomas talked to Alex once again. This time, Alex was introduced to Mrs. Ettinger from Child Services. She told him that his mom had to go back to the hospital because she was getting sicker, so the government was going to find someone else to take care of him while his mom was in the hospital. Alex was taken by the woman to leave his house and was put in a foster home. In short, Ileana spent a month in the hospital and then got released, but her recovery didn't last. She went back to struggling with the side effects of her medication, and Alex still felt like he was living on his own, even though he moved back in with his mom again. One time, when Alex was about to head for school, he asked for some pocket money from Ileana, who was trying to find a job at the time. Ileana got really mad and dumped out her bag to show Alex she didn't have any money. Her behavior was really scary, and it freaked Alex out. Luckily, a neighbor heard and called the cops. They came and brought a nurse from the hospital, and Ileana was taken back to the hospital from her apartment. This kind of thing happened a lot. Sometimes she'd only be in the hospital for a week, but other times it could be months. This meant Alex often had to stay with strangers. When Ileana was stable and came back home, Alex was still afraid of her. She couldn't even take care of herself, let alone Alex. The situation went on until Alex started high school. He had kept his word to keep working hard, and he could keep up his good grades. One day at school, the teacher assigned a 50-page essay to be done in groups. Since Alex was really clever, his classmates Danny and Lucy asked him to join them. Alex said yes, and the two became his new buddies in high school. Alex managed to convince his buddies to work hard on the essay, since they needed to score an A on this project, because he absolutely had to maintain a flawless GPA to get into Harvard. Lucy had faith in Alex's ability to pull it off. Ileana, on the other hand, was still dealing with the same stuff. She was always super pissed off because she couldn't work while taking her meds. The meds helped her keep it together, but they also made it hard for her to concentrate and gave her bad headaches. One night, when Alex got home, there was nothing to eat, so he had to settle for some peanut butter to fill up. His mom was often in her room crying. One morning, Ileana showed up at Alex's school out of the blue. She gave Alex a telling off for not keeping her in the loop about his school. This left Alex feeling really embarrassed in front of Danny and Lucy. When Lucy asked him what had happened to his mom, Alex filled her in on the situation. His family didn't have much money, so they couldn't afford the right medical care for his mom. The hospital only took his mom in when things got really bad. Lucy totally got where Alex was coming from, because her own dad had issues with alcohol. One day, Alex came home and saw that his stuff was all taken out. Turns out, his mom couldn't afford the rent anymore and was kicked out of the house. Mrs. Ettinger had found foster parents for Alex. This kind of thing happened to him every year. His mom was always in and out of the hospital, so he was always being shuffled between foster homes. He knew he was the only one who could fix this. Alex finally decided to terminate his mom's custody of him. He met with the state attorney to make it official. It was a tough choice, but he knew it was for the best. Even though he had to do it, he still cared about his mom. At the trial, Ileana had a lawyer repping her because she wasn't allowed to hear what Alex had to say for the sake of her well-being. Alex spilled everything to the judge about why he wanted to cut ties with his mom. He knew that if he won, he'd officially lose his mom for real. After the trial, Alex caught up with Ileana, who had come to testify. He said sorry for what went down. It was necessary, but it still hurt. In short, the lawyer informed Alex that Ileana's testimony didn't do her any favors, so the judge took away her custody of him. Moreover, since he was 16, he had to figure out a long-term living situation for himself. For now, he was staying at an orphanage and could still go to his high school. While he was in the orphanage, Alex met a guy named Brent who looked after the kids. The rules were tough for Alex there, like having to go to bed at 10 p.m. when he usually stayed up to study. Thankfully, after talking it out, Brent cut him some slack. After that, Alex went to his room and met his roommate, Carlos. While they were studying that night, Carlos was super stressed about algebra. Alex noticed and offered to help him out. At school, Alex charged his friends for tutoring, but at the orphanage, he could help Carlos for free. Carlos couldn't believe all the trophies and scholarships Alex had and envied him. He thought kids like him could not go to college. But Alex said that his mom taught him that education was the key to opening up opportunities and that everyone was entitled to it. After hearing that, Carlos decided to study and let Alex teach him. It didn't take them long to become friends and share their stories of how they ended up in an orphanage. It turns out that Carlos had a similar fate to Alex, but the difference was that his mom was a drug addict. After Alex took a shower one day, he saw Carlos getting into a fight with one of the kids at the orphanage. Because it was the third time Carlos had fought, he was moved to a different place. Alex felt really bummed out to lose a friend. He told Carlos to stay focused on his studies before they said goodbye. Every morning, Alex got a ride from a friendly driver named Henry to school. Henry was cool with picking up Alex far from school because he wanted to keep his address on the down low. At school, Alex's help on an assignment got Danny and Lucy their first A, which made them super stoked. Meanwhile, even though Ileana wasn't legally Alex's mom anymore, he didn't forget about her. He still stood by her, even when Ileana was in the hospital. One day, when Alex was waiting for Henry to pick him up, Danny and Lucy showed up and offered him a ride. But then Henry showed up, and that's when they learned that Alex was staying at an orphanage. One day at school, the principal and Mrs. Edinger had a chat with Alex. They told him that due to budget constraints, the school would no longer be able to provide transportation for him next year. They suggested that he transfer to a school closer to the orphanage. But Alex didn't want to because he felt comfortable at his current school. Plus, he was worried that switching schools might affect his chances of getting into Harvard. He tried to ask Henry for help, but Henry couldn't do much. Alex was really stressed out and unintentionally upset Henry, but Henry understood how it felt to be disappointed and just wanted Alex to calm down because there were still people who supported him. Henry tried to cheer Alex up and told him to think of a solution. Suddenly, Alex got an idea and called Mrs. Edinger. He was fed up with waiting for social services to find him a family, so he decided to find one himself. He started a forum online to find foster parents near his school and wrote letters to people, telling them his life story and how much he wanted to stay at his school. He assured them that they wouldn't have any extra responsibilities as his foster parents. He just wanted to keep studying at the same school. He also mentioned his good grades and ambition to go to Harvard. Alex was a cool kid who just had some bad luck. Thankfully, he had Danny and Lucy always there for him. Danny even tried to get his parents to let Alex stay with them, but they said no. Same with Lucy. Alex was grateful for his friend's support though. After school, Alex got a letter from some potential foster parents. Then he met them, Richard and Julie. They really liked Alex's story. Richard was in the army and his son was in training in the army too, so they had a spare room for Alex. Richard didn't pry too much into Alex's past, he just wanted to make sure he was a good kid. He asked Alex a few questions, and Alex reassured them that he's a good guy. It was revealed that Paul, their son, was also adopted from an orphanage. That was the reason why they were okay with taking in Alex. Unfortunately, it ended up being too good to be true. A few days later, Richard had to tell Alex that he was getting transferred to New York. He wanted Alex to come with them, but Alex had to say no because he wanted to stay and graduate from the same high school. Moving schools would make it hard to get a scholarship to Harvard. Alex and Richard's family were sadly split up. The search went on until Alex reached out to a family with a dad named Jim, a mom named Suzanne, and a daughter named Jen. When Suzanne read Alex's message, Jen could tell right away how in need he was, so she convinced her parents to lend a hand. Jim was hesitant at first, but thanks to Jen's push, they eventually agreed to get to know Alex. It wasn't long before Jen found Alex's Facebook, and after seeing his profile, Suzanne agreed to meet him. In short, they finally met each other. Jim had bumped into Alex's teacher at school and was told a bit about Alex. They were quick to let Alex know that if he wanted to stay with them, it was for the long haul, not just a temporary thing. Alex was cool with it and said yes. One day, Jim and his family went to the orphanage to pick up Alex. Henry said goodbye to Alex, and Alex thanked Henry for all his help. When they got to Jim's place, Alex was greeted by Jen, his new stepsister. She offered him her old room since she was heading off to college soon. She also asked Alex to look out for her parents after she moved out. Suzanne, as a foster mom, just wanted Alex to share how his day went with her. But Alex was used to being on his own and spent a lot of time in his room, even though Suzanne had told him many times that he was part of the family, and families need to communicate with each other. One day, when Alex was learning to drive with Henry, he opened up about how he actually just wanted to live on his own and pay rent, without Jim and Suzanne acting like parents. Henry knew that Alex wasn't ready for that kind of kindness, so he encouraged him to learn to accept it. Meanwhile, Jim and Suzanne talked about Alex. Jim mentioned that Alex needed to work on his social life. Suzanne was aware that Alex was dealing with a bigger issue than they had realized and wanted her husband to understand. In short, Jen was off to college. Before she left, she made sure to tell Alex that her parents were his parents too, so he needed to start acting like part of the family. Long story short, as Christmas was getting closer, Alex told Jim that he didn't like it when Suzanne gave him money for Christmas presents. Jim reassured him that they didn't feel sorry for Alex. They knew that Alex's life had been tough and unfair since he was young. All they wanted was for Alex to achieve his dreams, and Jim promised to be a father figure to Alex. That night, Alex proudly showed Jim and Suzanne his report card, which had all A's. They were really impressed with his grades. Suzanne then suggested that Alex should visit his mom and buy her a Christmas present, but Alex didn't think it was needed. The next day, Jen headed back home. She was really missing her parents and Alex. When Alex asked her why she wanted to share her parents with a stranger like him, Jen said it didn't matter. Her parents had plenty of love to go around. She then invited Alex to meet Ileana at Christmas. Alex had written a letter for his mom, but he never sent it. He was scared she'd be upset, especially after he terminated her custody of him. Jen told him that Ileana would still love him no matter what. She made him go to Ileana's new place, but when they got there, Alex chickened out and just left the letter at the door. Christmas Day came. Jim and Suzanne gave presents to Jen and Alex. When Alex got his gift, he thanked them and then took off. Suzanne realized that Alex was probably overwhelmed with emotions since this could be his first proper Christmas, so she just let him be. Meanwhile, Ileana checked out Alex's letter and then gave him a ring on the number he left. When Alex heard his mom's voice on the other end, he was stoked. They caught up on everything going on in their lives. Ileana really missed her son, but their chat was pretty short at that moment. One day, Ileana called Alex again. She was freaking out so much that Alex couldn't even understand what she was saying. He then called up Henry and asked him to come with him to his mom's place. Alex snuck out without telling Jim and Suzanne. Turns out, Ileana got kicked out of her new place for not being able to pay the rent. Henry told Alex to spill the beans to his foster parents because his business was their business too. Alex wasn't too keen on bothering Jim and Suzanne, but Henry was sure they'd help. In the end, Alex ended up asking Jim and Suzanne for help, and they helped him take care of his mom in the hospital. One day, Alex noticed that Ileana wasn't getting any better. He then apologized for not visiting often. He brought his mom's diploma, a photo of the two of them, and a letter that he had written but never sent. When Alex got back home, Suzanne was seen worrying about his Harvard interview the next day and tried to support him. When she went to see Alex in his room, Alex told her that he was sorry for not appreciating all the love she had been giving him. He admitted he was not used to it and felt bad thinking Suzanne treated him better than his own mom, even though it was the truth. Suzanne said Ileana probably wanted to do the same, but couldn't because of her condition. She was sure that despite her behavior towards him, Ileana always tried her best to always be there for Alex. The next morning, Jim woke Alex up for the interview. But Alex was actually thinking of not going. He felt like Harvard wouldn't accept someone like him, and his mom's health hadn't improved, so he might not be able to go to Harvard. He worried about ending up like her, but Suzanne and Jim encouraged him to stay positive and go to the interview. In short, Jim drove Alex to the interview. Alex said a lot during the interview, mostly about his life. After 2 hours, Alex felt good because he knew he had done his best. As time went by, Alex got a letter from Harvard. Before he opened it, he wanted to let Jim and Suzanne know how much wanted to get into Harvard. But he also knew that if it didn't work out, he could still go to another college because he already had the most important thing, a family that loved him so much. He finally opened the letter, and luckily, he got accepted. After a while, Alex finished high school and graduated. Not only did his family show up at the ceremony, but Henry and Carlos were also there. Carlos was in college and had a job at a workshop, keeping his promise to Alex to keep studying. Ileana was also there. She had read the letter Alex sent her, and it inspired her to keep going in her own life. She also apologized because she felt responsible for making Alex's life difficult. Then she gave him her master's degree and told him to give it back when he earned his diploma from Harvard. Finally, Alex fulfilled his promise to go to Harvard for college.